Anyway, welcome, Alison Armstrong. Welcome. Oh my God, what an honor. You are incredible. What an honor. Thank you for being here, helping our audience of single women to make sense of men and dating and relationships. So let me ask you the first question that I have for you, and then you take it from there. I feel kind of silly asking you questions because I want to give you freedom to talk about whatever you want, but I know sometimes it helps to have some direction. So my question to you, my first question is, what are the biggest ways women misunderstand men when it comes to dating?
Oh boy. The biggest ways women understand men when it comes to dating. Okay. I'm going to try to boil it down. And we have a 10-hour package called Dating with Distinctions.
Right.
It's only $95.
I got my inspiration for the questions from your program.
Very good. Very good. So I would say the first misconception is that men are dating in order to find someone to have a future.
Mm.
Yeah, sometimes men are dating because they're so nurtured by feminine energy. They're so nurtured by getting to be with the overflow of life force that women can have, especially when we're talking about what we're passionate about, profoundly nurtured and uplifted by it. And so a man, like, another misconception is thinking they should plan ahead. And if they plan ahead, it means that they're being respectful or caring. But with single focus, often, and a man just told me this a few weeks ago, again, for so many times, like during the week, he is deep in work head. He doesn't even think about anything else. And then sometime Friday night or Saturday morning, he'll think, oh gosh, it would be so awesome to get to spend time with a woman. And so he'll reach out to ask women out to dinner that night. And it's not because he thinks nobody else wants her, so she's just sitting around waiting for a call. He's not thinking that. If he wants to be with her, he assumes other people want to be with her. like of course I want to, so anybody would want to. He's just hoping that maybe she'll have space and he'll get to spend time with her. So that's important to know. It's important to not assume that the passage of a certain amount of time, we call this the myths of progression, yes, that a certain amount of time means something's going to evolve or become something. They're not connected. Yeah, what men have, it's connected for us because we have a limited reproductive lifetime. So we think of it time in terms of investment. These are precious reproductive times, or even when we're past reproduction, we don't want to die alone. So we got to make sure to line somebody up. It's all very much survival based. We talk more about that in Sync with the Opposite Sex. We can get on our website or an Audible, but it's the benchmarks and the timelines and how they determine our behavior. That's us. They didn't get any of those memos. And and they know what they said somewhere between the first 30 seconds and 3 minutes. And I'm not exaggerating. They know what a woman could be for them.
What?
Yes. And this includes looking at your picture on a dating app, which is why I encourage you to have it be the most authentic possible. You at this time, this date, doing something you love. I don't care what it is. I don't care if it makes you look the right size or makes the most out of your body type or the angles of your face. If you are doing something you love, that's what matters. And this ties back to what we teach in Making Sense of Men, right? The most attractive quality is to have men actually care about you, which is the beginning of them paying attention to what you need. It's the beginning of them being challenged by whether or not they can give it to you, which is plenty of challenge for any man. And yeah, but they know, is this someone who could be a friend? Is this someone who, oh, maybe we'll hook up? Or this is like, oh boy, she could be it. And understanding what they're responding to when they have that reaction is really important. And something else to know is it's a kind of hell for them to meet a woman that they think she could be it, and they're not ready. They're not ready to be a boyfriend. They're not ready to be a husband. They're not ready to be a dad. They're not ready to own a house. And we as women, our next misconception is thinking that they relate to forms of relationship. They relate to commitment. We think they relate to any of those kinds of commitments they could be making depends upon how they feel about it. And it does not. They literally could fall in love with us in the first 3 minutes, have the reaction my son-in-law had to my daughter, which, can I swear?
Yes, be yourself. My goodness, we are not worthy of having you here, Alison Armstrong.
Well, I mean, we have a policy of swearing, which is for truth, not for effect. So what my son-in-law told me, he thought in his head when he met my daughter was, oh shit, I could really care about this girl. Oh. Yeah. And that was a predicament for him. He knew his heart was at risk, and he had not put his heart at risk before. He's an awesome partner for her. He's awesome. He's amazing. The number of times my daughter has said, well, I was really upset, and then I talked to Harvey, and that made me feel better. My heart sings to hear her say that, right? And to watch him be a dad. They have an 8-month-old now.
Oh, congratulations.
It's extraordinary. It's extraordinary. But what he said is really typical, like to meet someone who could be the right person at the wrong time is just awful. Another thing that women don't understand is how carefully, I don't know if it's carefully. Okay, they don't verify, they don't check with you, they don't clarify, they hear what you're saying and they process and think they know what you meant, and then they make up what it means, what they think you meant. Okay. So, for example, if you talk a lot about how much you've traveled, right, and you talk about it with joy, right? You talk about it with passion. If they are looking for a woman for a future, they're not just hanging out, right? They're calculating how much would it cost them to pay for you to travel for the rest of your life the way you've traveled so far.
Oh, wow.
They're questioning, can they afford you? They're listening to you talk about your adventures, talk about what you love. They're looking at what you're wearing. They're looking at the car you drive. If they pick you at home, they're wondering, could they pay that rent or that mortgage? Like when they pay her, they're trying to figure out, can I afford her? In other words, can I give her what I, as a man, have decided she needs? Can I give her what I've decided she needs without checking with her? The first time I had a group of men in front of me and I said, you know, women have a lot of stuff they don't need. their mouths dropped. They do? Like, yeah. And we've done a lot of things that we don't need to do again. And we already paid for our car. We don't need you to buy another one. We're paying our mortgage. We're probably not looking for a man to pay it for us. And on the flip side of that, the most important questions as a woman you could answer is, what do you need a man for?
Right.
I don't need a man to pay my mortgage. I don't need a man to pay for my car. I don't even need a man to pay for my travel. I need support, right? I need to be listened to. God, I need to be held and hugged. Oh my gosh. I cannot give these things to myself.
Right.
But my boyfriend's hug, what I would give, what I would trade for his hugs, what I can't even measure the value of literally living in the circle of his protection. That
Right.
I know how protective he is of me. I know he would lay down his life to save mine. I know that, right? And they don't know that. Like, it's what's valuable to watch Understanding Women on our website, because you get to see the faces of the men as they're learning these things about women that we don't know they know, and their astonishment, what they don't understand about us. Oh my gosh. And many that we didn't even understand about us. So that would be the other part, is men make up what women need. They make it up, and they decide all women need this, and they don't check. Are you a woman? Are you a person who needs this, or a woman who needs this? Oh God, no, please. Or absolutely 3 times a week. So
Can I say something? I have a question.
Yes.
Okay, if I interrupt you.
It's okay. I was just trying to answer your question.
Yes, awesome. And there are so many questions. Now, when you said that, what comes to me is, women wanting resources from men. Now, sometimes the resources are not material resources, are more emotional resources, like hugs or support or so. And there is an opposite thing that happens, that women on the other side, women sometimes, I would say most of the time, but sometimes we think that men want the sex. So that's my experience, that, men want the sex and women want the resources. And as much as men don't understand that women don't necessarily want resources as material things, because a lot of us can provide that for ourselves. A lot of us I have traveled all over, done all the crazy things because I did them, but I don't need to keep doing them, as you said. Now I want peace, I want stability, I want an anchor, and that's my husband. He's my anchor. But so the opposite of women thinking that men only want the sex. Do you have anything to say about that, of men, what men want out of the relationship? Is that true, that men only want the sex? Have you heard of that before? Probably yes.
Oh my God. My stepfather was the first person to tell me that when I was 15 years old. Okay, so a couple of things. And this is why I'd recommend reading the only nonfiction book I've ever published. It's called Making Sense of Men. You can get the ebook for like $9 or something like that.
Making Sense of Men.
Making Sense of Men. You can get it on Amazon, Kindle, Lulu. If you want the print book, I would just get the ebook and read it. But it distinguishes when men are what they call physically attracted to a woman, which I thought meant that they were attracted to a woman's body. it turns out when they say they're just physically attracted, they're talking about their own body. That the only part of them that is drawn to that woman is their body.
Oh my God.
Yes. Yes. Astonishing. So when the only part of them that is drawn, yes, drawn to them, then all they want from her is sex.
Right.
And maybe they want to give her pleasure so that, because that makes the sex better, makes it more exciting if she's enjoying it, makes it way better if she's enjoying it. But if a man is attracted in the way that, for my generation, I call it charmed and enchanted. For younger generations, men, I notice, will say she's special. So when a man describes a woman as she's special, then they're saying that the part of them that's drawn to her, it can be mental, emotional, spiritual, all of that. Okay. Now, if it's all of that and not physical, he will want to be a big brother. He'll want to mentor her. He'll want to care for her in some way, contribute to her in some way, but he's not interested romantically.
Friend zone.
If it's just physical, then it's just physical.
Okay.
If it's both.
Right.
If it's both physical and mental, emotional, and spiritual, that for them is what is necessary for a romance. That's romance. Now, male sexuality is complicated and it isn't static. Most of us are imprinted by men in their teens or 20s, what they might call, or we might call, horn dogs. Okay? Where their sex drive, because of their level of testosterone, is so intense. And we teach this in Understanding Men about the breaking point, that men's single focus it's incredible what it screens out. And then they'll get to the breaking point. So hunger will break through their single focus and they're ravenous. Sex drive will break through their single focus and they want to do it now. Honey, let's do it. Wow. They don't plan ahead because it's all about breaking through the focus. Now, this lasts probably into their 30s, but then it starts to get tamer in their 40s because their testosterone's drive, it's lowering, it's decreasing. Now, in my life, where my sweetheart is 66 years old, I can do what works for me. I can make an appointment with him for sex. Oh. And we'll have foreplay sometimes for days in advance. We'll keep having these sexy kisses and fondling each other and having all this sexual innuendo. And by the time we get to, okay, now there's time, space, and neither one of us exhausted, and we're alone at home, no calls scheduled, let's do it. And damn, I've never had better sex in my entire life than in my 60s. But I would say this, for any of your people who are older, there are men my age who've signed off sex because they don't understand how erections work. And ever since the first time it didn't work, they don't want to go anywhere near that kind of failure again. Oh, yes. So, because we teach this in the Queen's Code, Chapter 5, don't just go to Chapter 5, listen to the whole thing. Right? We have to understand men's sex drive and what's required later in life to get a man going when we're used to them just like trying to hide their erections. We have to understand that. And I named it the EP. It's the Erection Partnership, we have an EP, and we both have our roles in it. And we're so dang good at this partnership. It doesn't matter. We know at will we can cause everything to work. But
Wow.
we've had to communicate a lot, and we've had to make it very safe for each other to communicate. And again, we talk about this in the Queen's Code. But yes, I asked, I made it very clear in my first conversation with Dan almost 4 years ago that I intended to have a sex life for as long as I possibly could. So was he interested in that or not?
Right.
because if I was talking to a man who'd signed off sex, that we would sign off each other immediately. So,
right.
well, you know what his answer was.
Yes, of course. We don't need to say it.
You don't need to say he signed on, and I didn't know so much was possible. So that's the other thing. The assumption, even if a man is physically attracted to you, and the key is not to have too much chemistry. Chemistry is lovely, but we can cause chemistry, which is something else that your people may want to watch on our website. It's called Are You Looking for Chemistry and Connection? Because these are the two that people think they can't cause, and they think they're scarce. But I think like an engineer. So I've applied that brain to chemistry and connection, and I'm telling you, you can cause all the chemistry and connection you want. It is completely in your hands. You can also cause loving feelings. That's another course, causing those loving feelings. Those things that we think are accidental, that we hope we find or they find us, we have everything to do with them. Everything.
What are a couple of ways to show up on a first date that will foster this whole attraction, the physical attraction and the spiritual, emotional, mental attraction? There are any, you are saying that can be created. So there are any ways that you could please share that we can do that?
Yeah, I'm happy to. And since you've listened to Dating with Distinctions, you know that I think there's a whole lot of due diligence that should happen before you ever show up on a first date.
Thank you for saying that.
Yes, a whole lot. Because if a man is only physically attracted, it doesn't mean he's a bad man. It means that the only part of his self that has been invited to this encounter is the most primitive part, the part that in cartoons hits a woman over the head and drags her by the hair back into a cave. That exists in every man. Just as we have a cave woman, they have a caveman. And if we are leading with sexuality, we're literally pissing them off. We literally cause anger because we're making them want us in a way that's like a hunger, and it makes them feel off balance and out of control, and they're trying to gain back their sense of balance and control by taking what it is that may seem like it's being withheld, and they're deeply ashamed of this behavior. And I talked to men a lot about, if you have too much chemistry,
Right.
run in the opposite direction. You're going to be horrible, and you're going to be ashamed of it, and it's never going to turn out. And
wow,
it takes maturity in a man and some separation from what those levels of testosterone do, for them to see it for themselves and to start regulating themselves. Wow. And so our worst behavior, men and women, happens because of too much chemistry. So first of all, if a man has asked you out, you have to do nothing to stimulate physical attraction. Men only ask women out that they're physically attracted to, because it's one of the components. Period. Don't worry about it. That's already handled. Whatever he saw in the picture, whatever he heard in your words, whatever he heard in your voice, you don't have to show any skin at all. We asked panels of men, how much skin does a woman have to show to remind you that her body is covered in this substance? The man who chose to answer that question went like this.
The face.
Just this much, no neck, no ears, nothing, just this. We're kitty cats. Our skin is soft. They get life from touching it. It's irresistible to them. So you don't have to show any of it. In fact, it'll just throw him off balance and have him be less authentic. He'll brag about it annoyingly, do you know? Or he'll be tongue-tied while he's staring at your cleavage, and you'll miss who he is. So wow. I wouldn't worry about that. I would do what Kimberly does in the Queen's Code. She makes a dress that makes her happy. Awesome. She feels wonderful in it. It makes her happy. So, and then I would say our biggest challenge is to balance expressing what truly matters to us at this point in our life, not in I demand this way, in just this is the truth about me. And balance that with listening to whatever they're saying with a question in mind that's going to have what they're saying reveal, even if they don't intend to, reveal a deeper sense of who they are. So we usually what's automatic, we teach this in our course called Lux. What's automatic is to listen to someone talking with the question, what do I think about that? How do I feel about that? Does that check off something on my list? What do I want to say about that? What do I know about that? What do I want to say next? We're usually not really listening to the other person. We're listening to our question about what they're saying, not what they're saying. Since we can't really not do that, it's better to pick a different question, a different filter, if you were. So ones I suggest are what matters to him. So he might be talking about a golf game, and you can listen what matters to him. He may be talking about his kids, and you can listen what matters to him. And not just his kids matter to him. Listen to what he's sharing about his kids. Right? So I caught on very early on that time with his 3 kids is Dan's number 1 priority. And I've never wanted to be his number 1 priority. I don't recommend it for any woman. Their capacities are too huge. They will annoy the crap out of you. You do not want them paying attention to you in that way. I seriously, it's way too much. Let them be focused on providing for what you need and what will make you happy, and doing it in a way that enlivens them. That's awesome. So, so if we listen what matters to them or what's true for them, what do they care about, what's important to them, all this is going to get into the area of their values and their reality. So if they get into a zone that, like during COVID, whether are you pro or anti-vaccination? Right. I mean, that would end dates, whether or not they were going to mask, right? Or a man showing up without a mask thinking it's all bullshit, right? Well, if that happened to me, I'd be listening. So what's true for him? What matters to him that he wouldn't do that? And you can also hear in what's true for them, what sources of information do they value? Right? So what do they read? What do they watch? Who are credible sources for them? Because someone who's credible to them, whether it's a newspaper or a channel or a person, a book, a teacher, that's going to reflect their values, the person who's sitting in front of you. And if you've watched, I don't know if you've watched Connecting Through Conflict.
Not yet. You can bet I'm going to go on a deep dive on your website.
Please. We actually have a package of Dating with Distinctions and Connecting Through Conflict that's discounted. But Connecting Through Conflict teaches the 4 biggest sources of conflict and how they get all tangled up and make it seem impossible to solve. And that's why, and when we have fights that never get anywhere, because it's not actually distinct what we're in conflict about. But one of those is values.
Right.
And we actually have a worksheet because there are values we were taught. There are values that we preach, and there are values we organize our life around. And this is the one that matters. And this is why, if you're dating and you think someone is a possibility for you, don't try to close the deal quickly. Both men and women get married too fast and get divorced too fast. Due diligence. You want to see evidence in action of what people say. And believe me, men are watching you for the same. If your words and your actions are not congruent, you are not believable. You're not a credible source, even about information about yourself. Like if you say, I need to be home by 10 and it's 11 o'clock and you're still sitting there, you have not at like 9:30 say, remember I said I need to be home by 10? Do you want to be getting the check now? Right? Like if you don't state and then honor your boundaries, you're not believable. I can only talk for half an hour and you're still there 2 hours later on the phone. You're not believable. So action, words and actions, the congruency of words and action or lack of them, we have to pay so much attention to, because it's in action that things become real. Words can suck you in, especially beware, ladies, please beware of being text. It's one of the parts of Dating with Distinctions, how to get out of the messaging zone. We are profoundly affected by the written word. It can cause us to chemically bond with a person we've never met. It's a danger to us. So we got to get on the phone, and we teach you how to do that in a way that's really empowering to you and to the men. They are looking forward to it. And you can actually know so much about them before you meet in person. Dan and I committed to what was the word we used? Why can't I think of it? Exclusive. We committed to an exclusive exploration of who we could be for each other before we met in person. Our conversations were that meaningful. We'd already said, I love you before we ever met in person, which we met like 10 days after we talked on the phone. But I had said, love is the easy part.
Yes.
But do we fit? Are we fit for each other? And he's known for 4 years. We're going to be together for as long as we can give and get what we need from each other. We can give to each other what we need to give, and we can get what we need to get, and we can do that for the other person as well. And that's as long as we're going to be together. And I fight the voice in my head just marry him. Just let's just settle this and get married. No, I'm not going to give up the right to walk away when I stop getting what I need. If I stop getting what I need.
Right. Wow, it's so amazing. Thank you for sharing that. That is everything. It's incredible. You're talking, and I have question. I wish I was a cartoon. I'd be like, But that's amazing. That's amazing because it goes against the fantasy, that, oh my God, I'm going to get married and everything is going to be okay. It goes against the other fantasy that, that love is unconditional, because at the end of the day, romantic love, it's what you said. It's not unconditional. There is love that is unconditional, but there is an exchange of value. And,
I would say that a little bit differently, and I talk about this in Causing Love, causing those loving feelings. I think love is only unconditional.
okay.
Love itself is only unconditional. If it's conditional anyway, it's not love. And I even say in that program, if it hurts, it's not love.
Right.
Love never hurts. To feel love never hurts. To have love never hurts. To be loved never hurts. Love never hurts. Attachment hurts. Too much chemistry and chemicals in your body hurts. Hallucinations hurt.
Yeah.
And love, to feel love requires admiration, respect, and affinity. And when we behave in ways that cause us to lose admiration or respect or affinity for ourselves, we love ourselves less.
Right.
And we put up with behavior in other people that costs us love, admiration, and respect for them. They are connected.
Right.
They're completely connected. So this is why, like, we have a program called Smart Singles. And it's all about building the muscle of having clarity about who you are, what you truly need to support being who you are, and
Right.
building the muscle of being loyal to what you need and who you are, no matter what, no matter how cute they are, rich they are, everything but two things on their list that they check off. Well, those two things are also deal breakers. That's why they're called deal breakers, right? Like, and that I don't care if anybody ever dates. I don't think dating is necessary to end up in really, really nurturing, fulfilling relationships. But it's fine if you date. But and I only said yes to meeting Dan because I had to practice what I preach, and I preach interact to build the muscle of being true to yourself no matter what. So when I was told about him, I said, okay, have him email me and we'll set up a time to talk. Yeah. And he emailed me and we set up a time to talk. So that was good. I learned he follows instructions. He follows instructions. Very important to find out if people follow instructions or just act like you never gave them or blow past them or veto them. Like, oh, that's stupid. Let's just get together. Very important.
Right. Oh my goodness. I'm going to be contacting your assistant, booking our next chat. This is incredible. So many, thank you. So much value, so much value you are giving us. Thank you so much. There is anything else you would like to say? I mean, as I said, I have 10,000 questions, but I'm gonna, because I know time is limited. So there is anything you would like to say before we go our ways apart today?
Well, yes, thank you. I would say that if we're going to have the kind of love and play and affection and support and sustainability that I think most of us want, we have to be prepared to do battle with our own instincts. And we didn't choose our instincts. We were born with them. They are reinforced by cultures, all different kinds of cultures reinforce the same instincts. and it's hard work, but it's the work that we have to do. And one of the most important parts of that is what I would call don't ask and don't tell. We have a fundamental don't ask and don't tell. Don't ask for what we need. Don't ask what someone else needs. Don't tell what we need because it'll reveal a weakness. Don't tell them that we don't know what they need. Like, just pretend we understand how this all works and just keep acting out our impulses and then think there's something wrong with us when it doesn't turn out. There is nothing wrong with us. We just want things that are far beyond the reach of human instinct. And fortunately, we have this part of our brain, the prefrontal cortex. We have the crown chakra. We have all these ways to connect with higher consciousness and deeper knowledge. And that's where all the goodies lie. And good job to you, Natalia, for doing the work to get at the goodies.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate your words. I just
You're welcome.
love you and admire you and respect you so much. You are an icon. You are a legend. And I don't know how else to express my gratitude. It comes from the full of the full of my heart, from the bottom, the middle, and the top, everything.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
I've been riding on a high since you agreed to do it. I know your schedule is super tight, and
it is. So please don't take it personal if it takes 6 months to get another date with me.
That's okay. I'm an immigrant. I believe me. I don't take it personally. I know you're busy, and I know you're gonna say no if you don't want to do it, because that's the kind of woman you are. So,
yes.
So one last question: do you still make the blueberry lemon cake?
Ah! Oh my gosh, I haven't.
I want that recipe.
You want the recipe for the blueberry lemon cake? It's so simple. You get a Simple Mills vanilla cake mix. It's grain-free.
Good, because
And you use lemon juice and maybe lemon flavoring if you really like the lemon flavor instead of the water. No water. Yeah, you do juice and chop up the blueberries very small, or they'll just sink to the bottom. They won't float. And increase the temperature on the box by 10 degrees at least. And I made ginger apple cake last weekend.
What?
Yeah, that's where it all started, was ginger apple cake. But Dan would really like some blueberry lemon cake, so that will have to be next for sure. I think it's his favorite. But it was for a 5-year-old birthday party, and she loves ginger apple cake. So I made her 2. I said, they're both yours, but I know you have a lot of family here for your birthday, so you get to decide what to do with them. Her dad likes it really spicy. They came color-coded. Lots of ginger, not so much ginger. But anyhow, thank you for asking. Substitution, no deprivation.
You're right. I love it. And I knew it had some special Alison touch. So the no water and the blueberries chopped small.
Chopped small. Otherwise, they just sink and make a mess.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
www.alisonarmstrong.com to get all her wisdom. Please go there. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye, sweetheart.
Bye.